होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। शांति चारो, होगी शांति चारो, होगी शांति चारो एक दिन। हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। आज एक दिन मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। हाथों में हाथ एक दिन। हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। साथ साथ हम चलेंगे, साथ साथ हम चलेंगे, साथ साथ एक दिन। हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
होगी जीत सच्चाई की,
होगी जीत सच्चाई की, होगी जीत सच्चाई की। हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। We shall overcome, we shall overcome someday. हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
Thank you all for joining for today's meeting. We have two guests, Anandji and Yogendra Yadavji. I don't know a lot of information, but Anandji is from JNU University, sociology professor, and Yogendra Yadavji is a social scientist and political analyst. Both are associated with this movement, anti-fight against corruption, and after that, Aam Aadmi Party movement, and they are executive members of Aam Aadmi Party. Thank you all and welcome to the meeting today. I just got an email today. I just want to share with you that. This is written by Nani Palkhiwala 28 years ago. You all know who is Nani Palkhiwala, legal luminary in India. He said, he's talking about his dog. My dog sleeps about 20 hours a day. He has his food prepared for him. He can eat whenever he wants, 24/7 by 365. His meals are provided at no cost to him. By the way, he does not need to pay for any medical insurance. He visits the doctor once a year for his checkup and again during the year in any medical emergency. For this he pays nothing. Nothing is required of him. He's talking about his dog. He lives in a nice neighborhood in a nice house which is larger than what he needs. He is not required to do any upkeep. If he makes a mess in the house, someone is there to clean it up. You don't have to do. He has his choice of luxurious places to sleep. He receives these accommodations absolutely free. He is living like a king and has absolutely no expenses whatsoever. All of his costs are picked by others who go out and earn a living every day. And I was just thinking about all this, and suddenly it hit me like a brick in the head. My dog is like an Indian politician. So that's the kind of politicians we have today. And he wrote this 28 years ago. And situation hasn't changed for good, it changed for worst actually. And we are trying to change that system. That's why we gathered here today. And most of us, most of the friends whom I spoke, when I talk about AAP, some people say, what is AAP? They don't even know. And when I say that this is a political party, new political party, they are very pessimistic about it. It's not going to happen in the Indian political system. I know we used to have very good politicians who worked for people and who mixed up with people, and they don't have any inhibitions to interact with people. And unfortunately, they are becoming less and less these days. It's like an endangered species. So we need to protect them, and we need to get the new blood in the political system. That's why AAP is an initiative, a small initiative, and which will grow into a reckonable force only when we all support it. Personally, I see AAP is not a political party. I see it as a way of life. I mean, I would like to see everyone who is part of AAP take it as a way of life, as a culture. How common man lives in India, can we think about it every time and adapt to that and take that kind of challenge to live as a common man? And that's where I see AAP, Aam Aadmi Party make a difference. That's it's not a political party. When we think about Gandhiji, he didn't start a political party. He started a new culture. He visited India down and bottom of every village, and he adopted the lifestyle of common man, and he developed a culture of khadi and chakra, and that's the kind of culture AAP should come up and bring to people. Then only the political culture will change. So we need to bring that kind of culture where we adopt a common man's style, and then it has to become the culture of our people. Then we will bring the change that we are looking for. In this perspective, what role NRIs can play? We are not a totally new entity here. We are part of India because most of our life we grew up in India, and we know the pain and the problems of India. But at the same time, we are still not in India. We are in an advanced country, and we have seen the democracy at its highest functioning here, and advanced lifestyle, and at every moment we think that how can we bring that life and advanced technology in our India. So that is what bothers us. So as people who have that roots in India, and we have seen the advanced democracy and technology here and society here, so we need to see how we can, as educated and elite part of India, can bring those changes in India. So that's where we need to act and do something for our country. And as we most of Aam Aadmi Party volunteers know, there is a Chicago National Conference in May 18th, 19th, and also I'm talking to friends who are from Boston and New Jersey. We can have a conference, East Coast conference around here, so that we all can come together in big numbers and plan some activities. So with this introduction, I would like to invite our guests to share their thoughts, how AAP is going to make a difference and how we are going to work together to do something for our country. And before that, I request someone to sing a national song.
Any kind of song, like
Yeah, anybody is please come.
or something. Come here. Come.
Again,
for your engagement and for your coming here to have an interaction opportunity, and in a way, process where people like Yogendra Yadav ji and myself, and through us, the volunteers of Aam Aadmi Party get a few more ideas to become effective nationally, locally, globally. I have been here in this country in the previous decades for several years to do my PhD, and at that time I had the experience of going around the country, and I know how difficult it is to engage Indians who have come all the way for a variety of reasons to get them interested in not even talking about India, just listening about India. We all live with our own Indias. We have our own images of positivity and negativity about India. Many of us feel very diffident about critical discussion about India, because India becomes for us our identity. And who will like to malign one's identity? At the same time, we also have some family secrets. If India is a family, like any family, there are some secrets. And those secrets haunt us individually. Often we talk to mirrors. What can be done? Why there is so much of difference between America and India? Why India cannot have some of the positivities of other democracies? Yes, India is a role model as a civilization. India is a role model as a post-colonial society. But India is not ideal model. There are many things which have to be added to make India the shining star of human family. And then we talk about these secrets in a hush-hush manner. What can we do? Why don't we start? Like Rabindranath Tagore said, that don't blame the darkness. Try to start a candle and create a bit of light. So some of we get together, create a small society, a community. We send some money for a school. We send some money for a hospital. We try to do something in our village, in our community, on religious lines, regional lines, caste lines, sometimes on national lines also. But we know that we are trying to build something in a situation of a tornado, because the political leadership of India, economic leadership of India, bureaucratic leadership of India, intellectual leadership of India is suffering with many deficits. And then you ask $1 million question, where should I be? Here or there? And you have gains and losses, costs. There is individual pain in those choice making. There are people who cry when they talk about decision to leave India, change their citizenship. But then there are pragmatic existential realities, because there is no zone of hope how to make things better. And once in a while there is a light. There is sometimes lightning. There is sometimes opportunity of creativity. It was there in the times of Gandhi. It was there in the times of Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose. it came very close to some very decisive changes in the times of Jayaprakash Narayan. But then you have a fallow period, long period of opportunism, hopelessness, drifting, betrayals in the name of left and right and center, nation and region and caste and community. And then you give up. I'm too far away. Let me do something for my family. Let me build my house. Let me help my cousin. Let me help my classmate. Beyond that, India is too big. 1.3 billion people. Every sixth person walking on this earth is an Indian. And most of Indians, when it comes to do something seriously, systematically, collectively, have lost capacity of citizenship-based cooperation. If I want to create a social engagement, my friends will talk millions of questions. If I want to create a temple, a mosque, a gurudwara, immediately funds will come. And this civic responsibility is something where the second question raised by my friend Sumanji has to be answered. What can we do as Indians so far away from India? Many of us have even decided to leave citizenship of India for pragmatic reasons, for job, for security. And there is no Mahatma Gandhi who is going to help me. Even my grandfather and father will not be able to help me. This is a new world. 21st century India, 21st century world are in different connections with each other. So we give up. And when we give up, we have objective reasons about it. Who is my role model? Who is inspiring person? You talk about Vivekananda, you talk about Tagore, you talk about Bhagat Singh, you talk about Lohia and Jayaprakash. They are dead. Long live Jayaprakash, long live Bhagat Singh, long live Subhash Bose, Mahatma Gandhi, but they are dead. The alive people are so disappointing, so frustrating. Whom to connect? Then there are some to have faith in charity, Mother Teresa. But this is like letting the general situation go from bad to worse and try to create a small island of sanity. First you create hunger, disease, and then you help a charity. No, this is not the way. And today, after a generation's gap, there is a rise of expectations. There is a rise of hope. There is zone of light. If you rally with Anna Hazare, the whole system gets shaken. One voice from Boston, one voice from Philadelphia makes news there that no, people are watching, even Indians are watching. And you better change your behavior. Chief ministers, ministers, bureaucrats, prime minister, you are again getting a question from so far away, and some of the brightest and the best are asking this question, why it is wrong? Why problems are not getting solved? And that's where you have a very positive role. And today, there is a situation of 1 + 1 = 11. Because there are some people who are very well fed, who are achievers, who have done their best, and who can be among the best anywhere in the world. Administrators, scientists, social scientists, media people, lawyers, some of the best of the country are together. And this is a situation of what we call revolution of rising frustrations. There was a time when there was a revolution of rising expectations. It was the time of the 70s. Indira Gandhi did promise that I'll eliminate poverty. She failed miserably, but there was a hope. Naxalism emerged. And they said, if not the parliamentary way, extra parliamentary way. Today, Naxalism is divided in 28 bodies and parties. There was Jayaprakash Narayan, who brought back moral energy into democracy. And there was this hope that yes, you can be in politics without being in parties. Or if necessary, create new parties and challenge the mightiest dictatorship of the whole of the post-third world, post-colonial society, India, and defeat it in a manner which was unbelievable. No money, most of the leaders in jail, and still ordinary people rose in revolt. But these are all part of stories of your parents, your grandparents. I just met somebody from Hoshangabad, whose father was in jail for 19 months. And this young man is proud of what his father did. But I don't know if these young children will be proud of what we are doing today to our country, to our civilization. And we have to create some contribution for even ourselves. And there is an energy now all over the country. There is a rise of mutiny, Million Mutinies Now is the title of the book written by V.S. Naipaul about India today. He came to India in 1990s. But he had gone there in 1950s. V.S. Naipaul is a Nobel laureate. He is NRI, not even NRI. His grandfather had moved out of India, went to West Indies. But his Indianness did not die. So he went to look for his identity, V.S. Naipaul. Born in West Indies, educated in England. And in 1950s, when Nehru was alive, when Patel was there, he goes around and writes a book, India, an Area of Darkness. India was without light, without hope, partition, communalism, a very strong sense of compromise for power. Then he goes again in 1970s, during emergency, sees India, but wounded India, writes back, India, a wounded civilization. But then when V.S. Naipaul goes in 1990s, he lands up in Mumbai. There are some friends here in the audience from Mumbai. And he writes a report about India in 1990s, India, million mutinies now. But those million mutinies got disoriented and we moved into globalization of a new liberal variety. We thought that let market play a positive role. And market will create efficiency, competition, will create technology flow, will create globalization. We will have knowledge, and that knowledge will give us opportunity of moving on. We'll have justice, we'll have democracy. But today, when we look at the last 20 years of liberalization, led by first Sri Rajiv Gandhi, then Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, and then for last 2 terms, Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, guided and inspired by Sonia Gandhi ji, supported in the first term by the left parties, in the second term by a lot of regional parties, including some of the parties of social justice, who are talking the pain of Dalits, of the backward castes, backward regions. They're all supporting the present regime. Situation. I'm very happy with this great combination of you listening to Professor Yogendra Yadav, whom I consider not only as a genuine Indian, a very proud, patriotic Democrat, but also one of the best, most well-knowing, well-researching political scientists, to talk to you soon after me. I'm talking to you as a political sociologist. And I say that there are 6 deficits in present India. I talked about it in our Boston meeting in MIT. At the risk of repeating before you, I want to tell you that if we all agree about something, it is that India is suffering with some deficits. There are some very positive aspects of India. My friend Arvind Kejriwal says that we are a first-class country led by third-class leaders. And I think there is no doubt about it. The people who are leading the country are showing such incapacities to articulate the common sense and turn it into practical policies at such a such a disappointing level that sometimes even democracy is getting discounted. Party system is being criticized. Election is getting polluted. But there are 6 deficits which are out there in front of everybody. I'd like to underline those deficits for you. And then what is the solution is something which you have to discuss. I have to discuss. Well, my opinion will be as valuable as your opinion. Yes, I belong to a different generation. We had the privilege of working successfully against democracy during the emergency. And just like this, Philadelphia, we had a stopover in Piscataway. We had a stopover at Rutgers. And those times were times of great disappointment, because Indira Ji was trained in political tradition of liberal democracy of Jawaharlal Nehru. But today's people are not trained even in those traditions. They are trained in traditions of money for power and power for money. So they are much more dangerous, much more unreliable. And these 6 deficits are calling for a new politics. There is no non-political solution. There is no solution which can be imported from outside. It has to be Indian solution and a political solution. Because democracy is the way for justice for the poor people, for the people on the margins, not for the middle class people. Public transportation, public health, public education, public water policy, public housing policy is for millions of Indians. For middle class, it can live with dictatorship also. Most of the dictatorships in the world have been supported by middle class people, and most of us come from middle class. But it is our responsibility to look at these deficits, which have been growing in last 15 to 20 years. They were inherited by the previous regimes of Quota Permit Raj, but they did not get any better. And it's not me who is saying it. It has been suggested by one of the most successful capitalists of India, Sri Ratan Tata, when he says that India is suffering with crony capitalism. So liberalization has led India to crony capitalism, but there are other deficits also. First of all, there is development deficit. This development deficit makes 2 or 3 Indias. One is Metro India. This Metro India is living at the level of global cities. Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, from where I come, Mumbai, Kolkata. Then there is a small town India, which is 90% of urban India, where there is electricity point, but no electricity. 6 hours to 12 hours electricity is a regular phenomenon of small town India. Bad schools, bad health centers. If somebody gets sick, must go to the nearest metro town, Mumbai, for a good treatment. There are government hospitals, but medicines are missing. And then there is large reality called 70% rural India. 10% metro India is at the global scale. 20% small town India is living in times of as if underdevelopment. And 70% rural India is becoming marginalized day by day. Because policymakers are saying that the future is in urbanization. By 2030, 50% of India will become urban. And therefore, let us prepare ourselves for cities. But cities don't have water. Cities don't have energy. And now after Damini in Delhi, cities don't have security for old people, for children, and for women. They are becoming more like hells. And I cannot talk about it in front of an American. I cannot talk about it in front of a Chinese. I have to suffer silently. This silence has been challenged by Aam Aadmi Party. And it was out of frustration. This silence was there in our heart, but we were whispering in the ears of the policymakers that look, one biggest challenge of development is corruption. Yes, you make plans, but then not me, not Yogendra Yadav, not Arvind Kejriwal, not Kumar Vishwas. It was said by Sri Rajiv Gandhi that when we send 1 rupee from Delhi, only 15 paisa reaches the beneficiary. 85% of the money is eaten up by corrupt bureaucrats, corrupt politicians, corrupt business people. So development deficit cannot be addressed satisfactorily unless corruption is challenged. The second deficit is a major deficit, which is governance deficit. Indian system of police, health, education, judiciary is good only for rich people. My friend Prashant Bhushan, one of the most conscientious lawyers of modern India, tells openly that Supreme Court is not for poor people. Even middle class people cannot afford Supreme Court of India, and Supreme Court is the temple of justice in India. This governance deficit is written large on the faces of our cities and towns. There was a committee appointed by Government of India's Planning Commission to look into the causes of rise of Maoism, extremism in India, at a time when home of Maoism, China, was going liberal capitalist way. And it's called Bandyopadhyay Committee Report. Most of you are there on the internet. Check Bandyopadhyay Committee Report, which is creating a red corridor from our friends, Andhra's Tirupati Nath, all the way up to Pashupatinath via Kashi Vishwanath. Pashupatinath is the ultimate god of Nepal, and in between there is a red corridor which is growing by the day. But this Naxalism is growing because of governance deficit. The Tahsildar, the Thanedar, the local Mukhya, they are destroying confidence of ordinary people in our system of governance. When they go and complain for justice, for minimum wages, for dignity of women, for land rights, the system is working in favor of the powerful and the rich. So the people go in the darkness of night and talk to the underground people. They create their own people's court in Adilabad, in Dantewada, and they fix the system right then and there. So the people say that MLAs are no good, MPs are no good, These large Jhandawalas are our friends and our followers. And this governance deficit is promoting extremism. So what is the solution? Even the Home Secretary of India, Mr. Pillai, said in a public talk with us on radio and television that India needs more politics. It's not because of politics that extremism is growing. It's because of absence of politics in the life of ordinary people. There are no social workers left. Communist Party, Janata Party, Bharatiya Janata Sangh, Congress was known to have their district units, their village workers, just 30 years ago. Today, most of the political parties, at the time of election, are looking for people who can win election on the basis of three combinations. They should have money power, they should have muscle power, and if possible, they should also have media power. So ordinary workers are getting disoriented from political parties. Most of the political parties are starved of idealist workers. Most of the political workers are becoming power peddlers, fixers. I make money through smuggling, I make money through wrong ways. And then political parties look at me as the most potential candidate because I am from the right caste, I have the right money. And therefore ordinary people's link with the political system is becoming weakened. And that's very dangerous for democracy. People like us are with Aam Aadmi Party because it has the promise of bringing back the glorious days of parties of the people, for the people and by the people. Today parties have become of the political class, for the moneyed class and by the money class and sometimes mafia. A committee was appointed by Government of India, led by Home Secretary N.N. Bohra, to look into the growing crime politics nexus in India. After a woman was burnt, a wife was burned by her husband, who was leader of Youth Congress in Delhi, in a public sector hotel. Tandoor Hotel Kand, 1996. 17 years ago. And Mr. N.N. Bohra, not a radical, not a Gandhian, not a socialist, he submits a report in 1996 to Parliament of India that please wake up. There is a parallel system growing of criminals. They have penetrated into bureaucracy, into governments, into judiciary also. And they named 3 states for growing crime politics nexus. And they said Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. It was 1996. Today, if same N.N. Bohra Commission is appointed, they'll certainly include Assam, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand. And this is creating what we call legitimacy deficit. This is the third major deficit. Governments are elected after elections. And somebody asked me, will Aam Aadmi Party have enough of seats to create a new government when you are challenging all established parties? Not only Aam Aadmi Party, even the oldest party of India, that is Indian National Congress, which is more than 100 years old, doesn't have the capacity to claim that in the next Lok Sabha election, out of 543 seats, they'll have clear majority. Because for last 2 Lok Sabha elections, they were not having clear majority. They had to go to every Tom, Dick and Harry and have a coalition government. So forget about that question of clear majority. BJP is not claiming a clear majority. So we are also not claiming. But we are claiming that we will be changing the rules of the game by putting, number 1, good people in politics. Because good people have walked away. And my friend Yogendra Yadav and Kejriwal and Prashant Bhushan are saying that when good people go away from politics, only bad people are left for politics. So when these Robin Hoods are arriving there, you will only expect some kind of a mixed situation. And the solution is to have good politics to replace bad politics. Now, politics is such a dirty word today. We don't realize that it was only because of politics. It was not by pranaya. It was not by yoga power. It was not by vegetarianism of Gandhi. It was not by the power of Hindu prayer, Muslim prayer, Sikh prayer that India became free of foreign rule. It was politics. Politics of resistance, politics of idealism, politics of great dreams, great imagination. Will you not agree with me that it was not the richness of India, the rivers of India, the temples of India, the mosques of India, they were all there for 150 years. And India was a foreign subjugated country. It was only when masses came into politics, peasants, workers, youth, students, under ideal leadership, self-sacrificing leadership, from Bhagat Singh and Subhash Bose, Jayaprakash and Lohia, and led by such a moral tower, Mahatma Gandhi, that was politics. He becomes a man who is interested in vegetarianism, celibacy, etc., etc. But you add politics to Gandhi's spiritual energy and it becomes mass awakening. Today, that is a missing force. We are in politics to gain something. And there was a time when people went into politics to give something. I think I see these people who have been for last 2 years doing nothing, but only shouting with great personal suffering, Jaagte Raho. What was the call of Anna Hazare? Why did Arvind Kejriwal went for a hunger strike? Gopal Rai, Manish Sisodia, what was their request? Why this friend who has come to you from Boston, Professor Yogendra Yadav, every day, I think he must be having 1,000 clips on YouTube. What was he saying? They were saying, please wake up. It's citizenship duty because there is legitimacy crisis in the system and we must move into doing the duty which is there for us. We got a great heritage from our ancestors, freedom with democracy. Today, both freedom and democracy are dying. And I'm not saying it in hyperbolic terms. There's a fourth report by Election Commission. What is the report saying? That in the Parliament of India, Lok Sabha, temple of democracy, there are more than 30 people who have very dangerous record. They should be in jail and they are the lawbreakers, but they are sitting in temples of democracy. And when you look at the Assembly of Uttar Pradesh, Assembly of Andhra Pradesh, every election in last 20 years is increasing the number of criminals, rapists, land grabbers, murderers in houses where they are supposed to create new laws, better laws than the laws created by Ambedkar and Nehru, Patel and Pant and Prasad. Very dangerous situation. And the political parties are having inner crisis. Except Bharatiya Janata Party and maybe Communist Party, Marxist, all other political parties have become nepotistic parties. In Congress, there is a clear line of succession. Sonia ji, Rahul ji, and that is replicated by every other small and big politician of Congress Party. It has become very nepotistic party. In other regional parties, which are otherwise very good dividend of Indian democracy, there is a great cycle of depoliticization. They are known by individual leaders, their charisma. And these individual leaders are then transferring shamelessly all the assets to their children. I would have agreed with them if Motilal Nehru was transferring power to Jawaharlal Nehru, a politicized person. But these are most non-political people. They are only Robert Vadera type people who are into money making, who are anti-political at best, and sometimes social criminals at worst. You look at the list of national leaders, regional leaders, and look at the line of succession. Inner democracy in parties is at risk, and democracy otherwise is active citizenship. Democracy is participation of people for a good government, in making the government, being vigilant about politics. But most of the people, first thing they say, yaar hum politics mein nahi hai. Politics bahut gandi cheez hai. And I just told you that but for politics, India would have still remained slave. But for politics, ordinary people, the Dalits, the minorities, the OBCs, the women would have been far behind. They have moved on because of politics, power of politics, sometimes successful, sometimes very unsuccessful. But even unsuccessful politics like Ambedkar and Lohia created success for future generations. This is where we have a great tragedy of democratic deficit. As citizens, there is the fifth deficit. You have deficit of development, you have deficit of democracy, you have deficit of legitimacy, you have deficit of governance. But there is a fifth deficit, which has to be solved only by us. It's our deficit. We cannot blame for this deficit to Manmohan Singh. We cannot blame it to Karunanidhi. We cannot blame it to Jyoti Basu or Mamata Banerjee. And it is citizenship deficit. As citizens, we feel least concerned. My duty as father and mother, my duty as brother and sister, as friend, I am aware. But that citizen, think about your duties. And how many of us have been doing it satisfactorily? One of the duties is to go and vote. And Center for the Study of Developing Societies and my friend Yogendra Yadav ji and others keep on reporting that the election participation is getting very diabolical. is not going down, but old participants are being replaced by new participants. The poor are participating much more enthusiastically, and the rich and educated are withdrawing. Rural are participating all right, but the urban and metropolitan New Delhi, which is one of the most educated areas, has sometimes 40% parliamentary vote. Last 15 years, India becomes like grand old mother who gave birth to, taken care of by somebody. I have to take care of my wife, my husband, my children, my dreams. But the dreams of our common origin, India, are at a discount. Whether it is Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kashmir, Vidarbha, you have to be regional. Regional is important. It's like a building block. Family, village, city, province, nation. There is no contradiction. But there was a harmony created by the generation of Gandhi and Subhash, where Bengal was complementary of India and India was necessary for Bengal. Today it is becoming contradictory. And friends, this is where there is rise of a new force, which is full of idealist people, individually satisfied people, personally incorruptible people. If Arvind Kejriwal walks into Prime Minister's office tomorrow, he'll have many opportunities. If Prashant Bhushan goes and gives a call to any of the political parties, they'll love to have him in the next list of Rajya Sabha. If Anna Hazare goes and negotiates, there are many possibilities. And I don't have to name people, I only want to say that after a long time, a political party is created by people who are not power hungry, but they are development hungry. They are not interested in personal glamour, but they want India to be very glamorous, not at the cost of Pakistan, at the cost of China, at the cost of Nepal, but at the cost of corrupt forces. And this crime politics nexus, these three M's of money power, media power, and muscle power, the blindness of identity politics, these are all now getting redefined within the pathology of parliamentary democracy. They are saying that we have to have more decentralization, we have to have more participation, and we have to have more accountability. How do you start it? Let us start from ourselves. Today, no political party can claim that they are not dependent upon black money, except Aam Aadmi Party. Because Aam Aadmi Party is putting all the donations which are coming from any and every source online. There is no party today in the country which has an internal mechanism of checking corruption within the rank and file. And that created Yediyurappa, that created Jagan Reddy. Because my party, like my family, is full of pure people. Your party is full of corrupt people. So when there is corruption within the party, we have a conspiracy of silence. But Aam Aadmi Party is starting with a new process. Internal Lokpal. India may or may not have Lokpal, but Aam Aadmi Party has created its own Lokpal system. You start cleaning from home, from yourself. There is democracy at discount in most of the political parties, because most of the political parties are run by high command system. Aam Aadmi Party is saying that we will create a mechanism of selecting candidates from local constituencies. Local members will sit together, and then even Arvind Kejriwal and Yogendra Yadav will have no power to make that list converted into an upside down system. Democracy from below will grow from parties. Democracies are born in parties and they start dying from the parties. Most of the Indian political parties have become non-democratic in their functioning. But the bottom line is that some politics is better than no politics. If good people are not there, then we will have to live with bad people. I must finish my presentation by suggesting the comparative advantages of India's multi-party system, where media is still relatively free. It has money power, but still, my friend Sumanji can run a patrika.com and nobody will arrest him. Not very possible in China. China is our next door neighbor, a civilizational brother or sister. But this advantage of India has to be cultivated as an advantage for Indian people for better politics. Multi-party system, regular elections, relative autonomy of judiciary, relative freedom of media, these are all okay. But they have to be cultivated better. A Pakistani comes to me and says, किसी तरह से हमारे मुल्क में भी आपकी तरह से चुनाव तो तमीज से हो जाए. हम कर नहीं पाते हैं. या तो आदमी जीतेगा तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर बनेगा और या फिर वो जेल में चला जाएगा। आज सवेरे भी मियां मुशर्रफ को हुकूमत ने जेल में भेज दिया। हमारे यहाँ ऐसा नहीं है, अगर अटल जी हार गए तो मनमोहन जी आ गए, मनमोहन जी हार गए तो अगली बार कोई और जी आएंगे, लेकिन ऐसा कोई chaos नहीं मचेगा। These are certain things, but they are not contribution of our political elite. Political elite का अगर बस चले तो वो हारने वाले को तो छोड़ देंगे, लेकिन जीतने वाले को बर्दाश्त नहीं करेंगे। नेपाल के लोग भी यही कहते हैं कि आपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कैसे बनाया, हम तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ही नहीं बना पा रहे। So we have certain advantages, but we have to build further, and that requires not only idealism, but also understanding. What is going wrong is not individual problems. There are a lot of good individuals in many political parties. It's systemic problem. Once we asked a very popular socialist leader who dreams of becoming prime minister one day, maybe he becomes prime minister. If Gujarat can become prime minister, Devgada can become prime minister, others can also become prime minister in our country, and no problem about it. But when we ask that, can you assure that in future also people like you, who had only one bicycle, had a small party ticket, and could become MLA and later on chief minister, not once, 4 times, will that pathway be open for others also in future? He said no. Today you need big money, you need muscle power, you need vote bank politics. If all parties agree, only then it can be changed. When will all parties agree? When my party wins, is democracy a success. When my party gets defeated, is murder of democracy. But no institutional reform. Therefore, in asking new questions, and as I told you last time, that there are 4 areas where no political party has any solution, no matter which party. First question is energy question, which is organically linked with employment question, which is related with the education question, and then ultimately environmental question. These 4 questions have taken new shapes and they need new answers. That old solution of nationalization or liberalization has been worked out. India is a country of great political experiments, economic experiments, social experiments. Some of the experiments require new chapters, new initiative. But who will do it? We are all worried about coalition politics. Somehow I must have 10 to 80 or 90 members of parliament, and then we will win or lose, or we will buy and sell some votes, and we'll have a party in government. And this is happening much worse level in provincial governments. We had great hope about the new provinces which were created out of the protest politics. Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Uttarakhand. Go and ask anybody from Jharkhand. Bhikkhus are gone. Bihar is no more exploiting Jharkhand. But what is the condition of Jharkhand politics? The level of leadership. And leadership is created out of struggles, out of training, out of conviction. That's another very beautiful aspect of Aam Aadmi Party. It has in last 2 years generated a sense of duty among millions of people. And there's a new politics now. Some of the old politicians say, oh, this is internet people, Twitter people. They don't realize the power of this new media, the capacity of this new system of citizen engagement. But yes, there's a huge deficit of leadership. Most of the political parties have forgotten political training. Congress, CPM, BJP, don't talk about the smaller parties or regional parties. The student unions, the village politics, Kisan movement, trade union movement, these were the grounds from which leadership was cultivated. Great leaders emerged out of great movements. The movements are dying or they are becoming anti-political. And therefore, Aam Aadmi Party becomes a new interface between movement and election politics. Mobilization for social change and election for institutional betterment, institutional development. I think today, this evening, you hear Yogendra Yadavji and you have heard me. This is time more for question answer. Because all of you, and that's my last point, all of you unknowingly are emerging as alternative role models for a lot of Indians who are in the queue for entering into future, entering into adult life. One person going abroad from one mohalla creates similar dreams in the hearts and minds of thousands of parents. The solution is out there. But you are here and you can tell us back home that there is no solution anywhere if there is no solution in India. If India is suffering, we may be earning a lot of good money in IBM, in World Bank, in this company or that company, but we remain Indian, even if we have left Indian citizenship, because of the ethnic dimension, multicultural dimension, and therefore there has to be some solution back at home, and then you can have the dividends all over, including in America. So friends, you as pace setters, you as trendsetters have a relative advantage because you are on the other side of the fence. You are not suffering India. You have taken an exit route. And that is the explanation of so-called possible solutions for a lot of what you call new middle class people, low middle class people, that somehow get your children educated better, and there is a deadly combination of computer sciences and management, and then you will have either national or global offer for them. But if you from here say that no, corruption is poisonous, bad education, bad health, bad governance is something which must be addressed with good governance, good education, good health, and ultimately mother of all this, good or bad, will be good politics or bad politics. Good politics created freedom. Bad politics is creating such a chaos. Let us replace bad politics by good politics. And that will mean politics of sacrifice, politics of contribution, politics of preparing yourself to do something for democracy and for the country. And this is where you are best suited. Because no matter what you do, Sumanji or Raviji who organized this meeting, they're not going to get anything in immediate political terms out of next Lok Sabha election or Vidhan Sabha election. And that's an exercise in altruism, citizenship duty. And this is where one will be equivalent of 100 or 1,000 back home. When they were on hunger strike, there were a lot of support activities. Washington or Boston or London or Heidelberg or Berlin was creating a different kind of impact. Please continue that impact. Please continue that cooperation and your critical engagement. Giving us feedback of where we are going wrong, where we are going slow, will be equally valuable. And then you can think about the larger leap. Maybe some of you think of coming back to India. After fighting against emergency, a few hundred Indians decided to go back to India. But then only few hundred. There are 2.5 million Indians in America. And if the situation remains as it is in India, it can soon become 3.5 million. There are people all over the world. There are more than 25 million. They are living abroad. And that is externalization of the crisis. No, externalization of the crisis is no solution. We have to get back into the action as global citizens, as Indian origin people, and help people who are trying to fight it, resist it with their idealism, with their understanding, with their cooperation, and with their capacity to resist all the temptations of trappings of power and the prevailing political culture. I feel very satisfied. In last 2 years, I have seen a new chapter being written by stories of sacrifices and by stories of imagination and wisdom. And I think today is an evening where you can think positively and you can think affirmatively, because there are big ears willing to listen to your advice, your suggestion, your contribution, your criticism. Otherwise, approaching political elite has become so difficult. And the land of India, with 6 deficits, is asking for a new democracy, a new politics, where citizens must move in as people who are the sovereign, who have given the authority to many people for all these years, and who have the authority but who have forgotten their capacity. And that capacity is being restored by people like Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia and Anjali Damania by doing both things. One, criticizing the system as it should be criticized and presenting an alternative as it is needed. I'm very happy and very thankful that so many people came. I was telling Ravi ji and Suman ji कि आप घबराना नहीं, भीड़ के लिए हम भी 5 आदमी लेकर के आ रहे हैं लेकिन अब तो देख रहे हैं कि कुर्सी भी कम पड़ गया. Thank you so much.